Yeah, one win would be a lot of fun. Thanks, Seth. Joined now by Ross Jackson of the Locked On Saints podcast. And Ross, look, the Saints have immediate questions to answer right now. The NFL trade deadline is Tuesday.
Yes.
It is tomorrow. The Saints have to decide, obviously now they're sellers. Can they get deals done? Should they be getting deals done?
I think they should be answering phones. I don't know that they should necessarily be calling other teams and saying, hey, look what we've got. What do you want? What do you want to give for it? You know what I mean? Because really, they don't have a lot of contracts that will allow them to do that. But a couple of guys that make sense. Marshawn Lattimore, starting cornerback. The Saints have a very good cornerback room, especially if they're able to get Paulson Adebo back next season. And then, of course, you're looking at Chase Young, who's on a one-year incentive-heavy deal. Should be easy to move. You're looking at moves that are going to get you draft capital back, but also help your salary cap situation in the future. Both those guys can help you with that.
Yeah, and whoever you're going to bring in as the new head coach is going to want a little better salary cap situation. Look, this roster right now has 9 players over 30. Of the 14 teams in the playoffs right now, none of them have more players over than 30 than the Saints. The Saints have an old roster, but they also have a few young pieces to build on. Give me a few guys that you think on this roster do give you some hope for the future that you can build this thing and it's not going to be a 5-year rebuild.
Yeah, outside of the guys that are, a part of this year's draft class, obviously Taliesin Fuang has done a fantastic job stepping in at left tackle. But I look at a guy like Alontae Taylor, who has been somebody that is an emotional guy, who is, and by emotional guy I mean somebody that can charge everyone around him emotionally, and that can play all over this New Orleans Saints defense. He's part of the reason why, if you did decide to trade Marshawn Lattimore with an eye towards saving $16 million next year, you could do that. So he's one of the players that I absolutely put on that list. And I think, of course, depending on Chris Olave's health moving forward, he's somebody that you want to build around and add. And look, I know he's not technically a young guy, but keep building around Alvin Kamara because he ain't doing nothing wrong.
No, Alvin Kamara was brilliant yesterday. You have to love Eric McCoy, the center. You do have a few pieces. What should the Saints be looking at in the next head coach? We don't know if Darren Rizzi is going to be a legitimate contender, but what would you like to see in the next guy?
I think you're looking for a culture builder. I wouldn't be surprised if the New Orleans Saints, nor disappointed in the New Orleans Saints for looking for somebody that maybe isn't a play caller, but that instead is just the head coach, and that just focuses there and then allows the coordinators to, coordinate. And in that way, you bring somebody in that can spearhead, that can be a culture builder for your team. You have got to get this culture repaired because everything that we've heard behind the scenes, out in front of the scenes about where the culture is, hasn't been positive.
Hasn't been positive. And although Sean Payton, we didn't know he was going to be a culture builder when he built the best culture this franchise has ever seen. Ross Jackson, great stuff. Don't forget, we'll see you again at 6:30.
I'll come back.